The alarm bells rang across the bridge of the Krillian cruiser Star's Edge. Captain Hyunwoo jumped from his chair as red lights flashed everywhere. His crew moved quickly to their stations, their blue skin turning pale with worry. "What is happening?" Hyunwoo asked his sensor officer. "Captain, we have a massive energy reading coming from the edge of the system," the officer said, his voice shaking. "Something big just dropped out of hyperspace." Hyunwoo looked at the main screen. The Theta-7 system had been quiet for months. Nothing ever happened here except mining ships coming and going. The system had 3 planets and lots of valuable metals in the asteroid belt. The Krillian defense fleet watched over everything to make sure pirates stayed away. "Size?" Hyunwoo asked. "Captain, this is impossible. The ship is 12 kilometers long." Hyunwoo's eyes went wide. Most battleships were only 2 kilometers long. Even the biggest space stations were smaller than this thing. "Show me," he said. The screen changed to show a shape in the darkness of space. At first, it looked like a moving mountain. The ship was dark gray with strange curves and angles. Weapons stuck out from its hull like spikes on a giant beast. It moved slowly but with purpose, like a hunter that knew its prey could not escape. "Have you ever seen anything like this?" Hyunwoo asked his crew. Da-yoon, his communications officer, checked her computer. "No, Captain. This design is not in any of our files. It does not match any known ship from the Galactic Council records." The other ships in Hyunwoo's fleet were also sending worried messages. 3 cruisers and 5 smaller patrol ships made up the Krillian defense fleet. They felt very small next to this giant. "Captain," Da-yoon said, "we are getting a signal from the unknown ship." "Put it on screen." The image changed to show the inside of a ship bridge. Everything looked clean and white with blue lights. Strange symbols covered the walls. In the center stood a woman with brown hair tied back and wearing a dark blue uniform. Her eyes were calm but sharp, like someone who had seen many battles. "I am Admiral So-jin of the human vessel Eternal Defiance," the woman said. Her voice was steady and confident. "You may lower your weapons. We mean no harm to your crews." Hyunwoo felt confused. "Human? But humans are not allowed to leave their home system. The Galactic Council made that rule 200 years ago." So-jin smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "The Galactic Council made many rules. We have decided some of those rules need to change." "What do you want in our system?" Hyunwoo asked. He tried to sound brave, but his voice came out smaller than he wanted. "We are here to claim Theta-7 under the right of conquest," So-jin said. "This system now belongs to humanity." The bridge went silent. The right of conquest was an old law from when the galaxy was young and wild. Strong species could take systems from weak ones if they had the power to hold them. But nobody used that law anymore. The Galactic Council had stopped that kind of behavior long ago. "That law is ancient," Hyunwoo said. "No one follows it now." How?" So-jin replied. "And we have the strength to enforce it." On the human ship's bridge, a young man walked up to So-jin. He had short black hair and wore the same dark blue uniform. "Admiral, their weapons are still pointed at us. Should we show them we are serious?" So-jin looked at the man. "Not yet, Minho. Let them think about what I said first." Hyunwoo turned to his crew. "Send a message to Council Space Command. Tell them we have an unauthorized human ship in Theta-7. Request immediate backup." Da-yoon worked quickly at her station. "Message sent, Captain, but it will take 3 days for help to arrive." "Captain," the sensor officer called out. I am reading the human ship's power levels. This cannot be right." "What do you see?" "The energy coming from their ship is 10 times stronger than our entire fleet combined. And, Captain, I think they are barely using any power at all." Hyunwoo felt ice in his stomach. He looked back at the screen where Admiral So-jin waited patiently. "Admiral," he said, "humans are supposed to be a young species. Your people barely learned space travel a few hundred years ago. How do you have a ship like this?" So-jin's smile grew wider. "Captain, you know very little about humans. We have had much time to learn and grow while your council kept us locked away. Perhaps they should have paid more attention to what we were doing." A new person appeared next to So-jin on the screen. This was a woman with long black hair wearing a white coat over her uniform. She looked excited, like a child who found a new toy. "Admiral," the woman said, "their ships are so interesting. Look at how they built their engines. It is very simple but clever. I want to study them." So Jin nodded. "Later, Yuri. First we must finish talking with our new neighbors." Yuri looked at the screen and waved at Hyunwoo's crew. "Hello, I am Dr. Yuri. I study alien life and technology. Your ships look fun to examine. Do you mind if I scan them? I promise to be gentle." Hyunwoo did not know what to say. The human woman talked about his warships like they were toys. His ships carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon, but she seemed to think they were cute. "Admiral So-jin," Hyunwoo said, trying to sound official. "The Krillian people have controlled this system for 50 years. You cannot just take it from us." "We can," So-jin said simply. "The question is whether you will make this easy or hard for everyone. Are you threatening us?" So-jin looked thoughtful. "I am stating facts. We want this system. We have the power to take it. You can accept this and keep your ships and crews safe, or you can fight us and lose everything. I would prefer the first choice." Another human appeared on the screen. This was a man with gray hair and many lines on his face. He wore a uniform covered with medals and ribbons. "Admiral," the old man said, "sensors show more Krillian ships coming from the outer system. It looks like a patrol that was checking the mining stations." "Thank you, Woojin," So-jin said. "How many ships?" "4 more cruisers and 10 patrol boats, Admiral." So-jin nodded and looked back at Hyunwoo. "Captain, it seems your friends are coming to help you. That is good. When they arrive, you can all hear what I have to say at the same time." Hyunwoo felt sweat on his forehead despite the cool air on his bridge. "What are you planning to do?" "Nothing harmful," So-jin said. "We will wait for your reinforcements to arrive. Then I will show you why resistance is pointless. I hope you will make the smart choice after that." The communication ended, leaving Hyunwoo staring at a blank screen. His crew looked at him with worry and fear. Outside their ship, the massive human Dreadnought waited like a sleeping dragon. "Captain," Daewon said quietly. "What do we do?" Hyunwoo looked at the readings from the human ship. 12 kilometers of unknown technology, weapons that could probably destroy his entire fleet. Humans who talked about taking their system like they were discussing the weather. "We wait," he said finally. "And we hope the Council knows how to deal with this." But deep in his heart, Hyunwoo had a terrible feeling that the Council had no idea what they were facing. The humans had been quiet for 200 years. Maybe everyone had forgotten what they could become when left alone for too long. The eternal defiance hung in space like a promise of things to come. And Captain Hyunwoo began to understand that his quiet life, guarding a mining system, was about to change forever. The Council Command Center on the planet Alteris buzzed with activity. Screens showed star maps and fleet positions across the galaxy. Admiral Jun Seok stood in the center of it all, his tall, thin body covered in the golden robes of high command. His large black eyes studied the message that had just arrived from the Theta 7 system. "This cannot be correct," he said to his aide. "Humans do not have ships larger than small transports. We have kept them contained in their home system for 2 centuries. The aide, a nervous young officer named Kyobin, checked his datapad again. "The message came directly from Captain Hyunwoo, sir. He says the human ship is 12 kilometers long and claims to be taking the Theta 7 system." Junseok made a sound like laughter, but there was no humor in it. His species, the Alterians, had been part of the Galactic Council since its beginning. They knew every dangerous species in the galaxy. Humans were not one of them. Humans are barely civilized, Junseok said. They fight among themselves constantly. Their technology is primitive. Their ships break down if they travel too far from their star. This Captain Hyunwoo must be seeing things. "Should we send a fleet to investigate?" Kyobin asked. "Send a message to the Krillians. Tell them to escort this human ship back to Earth, immediately. Use force if necessary. 1 small patrol should be enough." But even as he gave the order, Junseok felt worried. The humans had been quiet for a very long time. Too quiet, perhaps. Back in the Theta 7 system, Captain Hyunwoo watched as the rest of the Krillian fleet arrived. Commander Tae-wan led the reinforcements, 4 more cruisers and 10 patrol ships. The combined fleet now had enough firepower to level a planet's surface. Captain Hyunwoo, Tae-wan's voice came over the communication system. What is the situation? We have 1 human dreadnought claiming our system, Hyunwoo replied. They say they are taking it under the right of conquest. 1 ship? Tae-wan sounded confused. Against our entire fleet? Are the humans insane? I do not think they are insane, Hyunwoo said quietly. I think they know something we do not. The human ship had not moved since it arrived. It floated in space like a metal moon, its weapons pointing in all directions. No energy readings showed it was preparing to fight, but somehow that made it more frightening. All ships, form attack formation, Tae-wan ordered. We will surround this human vessel and force them to surrender. As the Krillian ships moved into position, Admiral So-jin watched from her bridge. The human crew worked at their stations with calm efficiency. No one seemed worried about facing 17 enemy warships. Admiral, Minho reported, the alien ships are trying to surround us. Should we raise shields? Not yet, So-jin said. Let them feel confident for a moment. Dr. Yuri looked up from her science station. Admiral, I have finished scanning their ships. Their weapon systems are actually quite clever for their technology level, very simple but effective, like tools made by smart children. Children with deadly toys, added Wu Jin from his engineering station. Their largest guns could damage our hull if they concentrated fire. Could they penetrate our shields? So Jin asked. No, ma'am. Not even if all 17 ships fired at once. So Jin nodded. She had hoped to avoid violence, but sometimes a demonstration was necessary. Open a channel to all Krillian ships. The screen changed to show Captain Hyunwoo and Commander Tae-wan on split view. Both alien officers looked tense but determined. Gentlemen, So-jin said politely, I see you have brought more ships. Are you planning to attack us? Human vessel, Tae-wan spoke first. You will power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted from this system. You have no right to be here. Actually, we do, So-jin replied. The right of conquest is still galactic law. We are simply the first to use it in a while. That law is meaningless now, Hyunwoo said. The Galactic Council maintains peace through negotiation, not force. So-jin smiled sadly. The Council maintains control through fear and isolation. They kept my people locked away because they were afraid of what we might become. Perhaps they were right to be afraid. Surrender now, Tae-wan demanded, or we will open fire. I would prefer you did not do that, So-jin said. It would end badly for everyone. But if you insist on a demonstration, I will provide one. She turned to a man at the weapons station. He was young with short black hair and steady hands. Tae-hyun, please target the small moon in the outer system, the one with no mining operations. Yes, Admiral. Target locked. Fire 1 mining laser, at minimum power. On the Krillian ship, sensor officers watched in confusion as the human dreadnought powered up what looked like a simple cutting tool. Mining lasers were common equipment used to break apart asteroids. They were not weapons. A thin beam of blue light shot from the eternal defiance toward the distant moon. The beam looked small and harmless against the darkness of space. Then the moon exploded. Not just broken apart or damaged. The entire rocky body, 300 kilometers across, simply vanished in a flash of light. Where it had been, only glowing dust remained. The silence on the Krillian bridges was complete. Every officer stared at their screens, trying to understand what they had just seen. That was a mining laser, So-jin explained calmly. We use them to harvest materials from asteroids. This one was set to 0.3% power to avoid damaging anything important in the system. Tae-hyun looked up from his station. Admiral, if we had fired at full power, the beam would have reached the next star system. Thank you, Tae-hyun. I think our friends understand now. Commander Tae-wan found his voice first. What? What are you? We are humans, Sojin said simply. We are the species your council decided was too dangerous to join galactic society. You locked us away and forgot about us. That was a mistake. Captain Hyunwoo's hands shook as he spoke. How long have you had ships like this? This particular vessel is 15 years old, Sojin replied. It is actually one of our smaller ships. We built it for exploration, not war. Dr. Yuri appeared on screen again, looking excited. Oh, I have been studying your weapon systems while we talked. You use plasma containment fields to focus energy, right? That is so creative. We used to build weapons like that when I was in school. They are wonderful for learning basic engineering. The alien officers stared at her. This human woman was talking about their most advanced weapons like they were school projects. You said this was one of your smaller ships, Hyunwoo said quietly. How many ships do you have? Sojin looked thoughtful. I am not supposed to discuss fleet numbers with foreign powers, but I can say that if you attacked us, the fight would be over very quickly. A new message arrived on the human ship. Minho read it and turned to Sojin. Admiral, we have a communication from the Galactic Council. Admiral Junseok orders us to return to Earth immediately. Does he? Sojin looked amused. Open a channel to the Council. The screen changed to show Admiral Junseok in his golden robes. His expression was angry and demanding. Human ship, he said without greeting. You will cease this illegal activity and return to your home system at once. You are violating 100 Council laws. Admiral Junseok, Sojin replied politely. I am Admiral Sojin of the Human Defense Force. We do not recognize the Council's authority over human actions anymore. Junseok's eyes grew wide. You dare defy the Council? We have kept peace. In the galaxy for 1,000 years. You have kept control, Sojin corrected. Peace and control are different things. You locked away any species that might challenge your power. You made us prisoners in our own system because you feared what we could become. We protected the galaxy from dangerous species. You protected yourselves from competition, Sojin said. But your protection had an unintended consequence. You gave us 200 years to grow stronger without interference. We used that time well. Junseok was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was less certain. What do you want? Recognition, Sojin said. We want our place. In galactic society. We want the right to travel, trade, and claim territory like any other species. The quarantine ends now. And if we refuse? Sojin looked directly at the Council Admiral. Her eyes were calm but hard as steel. Then you will learn why your ancestors feared humanity enough to lock us away. I hope you are wiser than that. The communication ended, leaving shocked silence across multiple star systems. The age of human isolation was over and nobody knew what would come next. Admiral Junseok stood in the Council war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing fleet positions across the galaxy. The room buzzed with activity as officers from 6 different species prepared for what might be the first major conflict in 2 centuries. How quickly can we assemble the 47th Enforcement Fleet? Junseok asked his staff. 12 hours, Admiral, replied his tactical officer, a reptilian Vorthak named Sekdal. We can bring together 214 ships from across the sector. Do it. We cannot allow one rogue human ship to challenge Council authority. If other species see us as weak, the entire galactic order could collapse. But even as he gave orders, Junseok felt doubt growing in his mind. The human ship had destroyed a moon with what they called a mining tool. What could their actual weapons do? Sir, Kyobin approached with a worried expression. We have received reports from our intelligence network. 3 other human ships have been detected in different systems across the galaxy. How is that possible? Our monitoring stations show no ships leaving Earth. That is the problem, sir. These ships appear to have been in deep space for years. They were not detected until they wanted to be seen. Junseok felt cold fear in his stomach. How many human ships are really out there? We do not know, sir. In the Theta 7 system, the Eternal Defiance waited peacefully while the Krillian fleet maintained a nervous distance. Admiral So-Jin walked through her ship's corridors, checking on her crew. The ship was enormous inside, with wide hallways and high ceilings. Thousands of humans worked at various tasks, all moving with quiet confidence. She stopped at the science section, where Dr. Yuri was studying data from the Krillian ships. "What have you learned?" So-Jin asked. "Fascinating things." Yuri looked up with bright eyes. Their technology is actually quite advanced for their development level. They use quantum field generators for their shields and plasma fusion for weapons. It is very impressive. "But can they hurt us?" "Oh no," Yuri laughed. "They're most powerful? Weapons would barely scratch our paint, but they show real creativity in how they build things. I want to suggest some improvements to their designs when this is over." So-Jin smiled. Dr. Yuri always saw the best in other species even when they were pointing guns at her ship. She continued to the Marine section, where Captain Seyoung was checking equipment with her soldiers. The humans here were bigger and stronger, their uniforms dark and practical. They moved like predators, ready for anything. "Are your people ready, Captain?" So-Jin asked. "Always, Admiral," Seyoung replied. "Though I hope we will not need to board enemy ships. Fighting in their atmosphere is awkward for humans. Most alien species breathe similar air to us. You would be fine. It is not the air I worry about. Ma'am, it is the size of their corridors. Our soldiers are bigger than most aliens. We have to duck to fit through their doors." So-Jin had never thought about that problem. Humans were larger and heavier than most galactic species. It would be uncomfortable to fight inside ships built for smaller beings. "Hopefully it will not come to that," she said. In the engineering section, Commander Wu Jin monitored the ship's power systems. The Eternal Defiance used technology that most species could not understand. Fusion reactors the size of buildings powered systems that bent space and time. "Admiral," Wu Jin reported, "we are running at 5% power. All systems are operating normally. We could fight for months without needing to refuel." "What about the weapon systems?" "The mining lasers are at full charge. The defensive guns are ready. The main cannon is powered down but could be ready in 30 seconds if needed." So-Jin nodded. She hoped they would not need the main cannon. It was designed to destroy space stations, not fight individual ships. On the bridge, Minho monitored communications from across the galaxy. His screen showed messages flying between council worlds as news of the human ship spread. "Admiral," he said, "the council is mobilizing fleets from 6 different systems. It looks like they are planning something big." "How big?" "Over 200 ships, ma'am. The largest fleet assembled in 50 years. So-Jin sighed. She had hoped the council would be smarter than this. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them the council is bringing a large force to Theta 7. Request instructions." "Yes, Admiral." 12 hours later, space around Theta 7 filled with ships. The 47th Galactic Enforcement Fleet dropped out of sea. Hyperspace in perfect formation. Cruisers, destroyers, fighters, and support vessels spread across the system like a metal cloud. Admiral Jun Seok stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Council's Will. The massive battleship was 2 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to level a continent. Around it, over 200 other ships waited for his orders. "This is impressive," he said to his staff. "Surely one human ship cannot fight all of this." But looking at his sensors, Jun Seok saw something that worried him. The human Dreadnought had not moved or powered up additional weapons. It sat in space like it was watching a parade, not facing a fleet that could destroy it. "Open a channel to the human ship," he ordered. Admiral So-Jin appeared on his screen, looking calm and slightly amused. Behind her, the human bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. No one seemed concerned about the massive fleet surrounding them. "Admiral Jun Seok," So-Jin said politely, "you brought quite a few ships. Are you planning to attack us?" "I am here to enforce council law," Jun Seok replied. "You will surrender immediately and submit to council authority. And if we refuse, then you will be destroyed." So-Jin looked thoughtful. "Tae-hyun," she called to her weapons officer, "if we had to disable this entire fleet without killing anyone, how long would it take?" The young human checked his screens. "Approximately 14 minutes, Admiral. Maybe 16 if we are very careful about their life support systems. Jun-seok felt his confidence waver. The human was discussing his entire fleet like it was a minor inconvenience. You are bluffing, he said. No single ship can fight 200 vessels. You are probably right, Sojin agreed. Most ships could not do that, but this is not most ships. She turned to another crew member. Dr. Haijin, what is your analysis of the alien fleet? A human woman with gray hair and a scientist coat appeared on screen. Very interesting, Admiral. They use a standard formation designed for fighting other fleets, but it has several weaknesses against a single large target. Also, their shield harmonics are not synchronized. We could disrupt their entire defensive grid with the right frequency pulse. How long to calculate that frequency? Already done, Admiral. Would you like me to demonstrate? Jun-seok watched in growing horror as the humans discussed his fleet, like it was a technical problem to be solved. These people were not warriors. They were engineers talking about taking apart a machine. You have 30 seconds to surrender, he said desperately. After that, we open fire. Sojin looked sad. I was hoping you would be reasonable. Very well. Taehyun, begin defensive operations. Try not to hurt anyone. Yes, Admiral. Beginning. Now. The battle that followed was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. The Eternal Defiance moved through the Council fleet like a shark through a school of fish. Its weapons fired with impossible precision, targeting engines, weapons, and shield generators while carefully avoiding crew compartments. Krillian ships found their guns cut cleanly away from their hulls. Altarian destroyers lost their engines in surgical strikes that left their bridges untouched. Vorthak fighters discovered their power systems disabled by beams so narrow they passed between armor plates. The human ship moved faster than anything its size should be able to move. It dodged incoming fire like it could see the future. Its shields absorbed direct hits from weapons that should have cracked continents. Dr. Haijin worked at her station, studying each alien ship as the battle continued. Admiral, their engineering is quite clever. The Krillians use redundant power systems that could be improved with better integration. The Altarians have excellent sensors but poor weapon targeting. The Vorthaks build very fast ships, but their armor is too thin. Are you taking notes for later? Sojin asked. Of course. After we disable them, I want to suggest improvements. Their designs have such potential. Captain Seyoung watched the battle from her section. Admiral, several alien ships have lost life support. Should we send rescue teams? Prepare boarding parties, but wait for my order. Let us see if their commanders are ready to talk first. The fight lasted exactly 13 minutes and 47 seconds. When it ended, the entire Council fleet floated helplessly in space. Not a single ship had been destroyed, but none could fight anymore. The Eternal Defiance had taken minor damage to its outer hull that was already being repaired. Admiral Jun-seok sat in his command chair, staring at screens that showed nothing but system failures. His mighty fleet had been reduced to floating, scrap metal by one human ship. Around the galaxy, other council leaders watched in shock as their greatest military force was effortlessly defeated. Open a channel, Jun-seok said quietly. Admiral Sojin appeared on screen again. She looked tired but not angry. Are you ready to talk now? She asked. Jun-seok nodded slowly. What do you want from us? The same thing I wanted before the shooting started. Recognition, respect, an end to the quarantine that has kept my people isolated for 2 centuries. And if we refuse? The transport shuttle moved slowly toward the Eternal Defiance, carrying Admiral Jun-seok and several other council leaders. Their ships floated around them like broken toys, waiting for repairs that would take weeks to complete. The shuttle felt very small next to the massive human Dreadnought. I have never seen anything like this, whispered Commander Velcora, an insect-like Zephyrian whose ship had been disabled in the first minute of fighting. How did they build something so large? More importantly, said Captain Roden, a rock-like granite whose species prided themselves on strong ships, how did they build something so powerful? My vessel's armor is made from compressed stellar matter. Their weapons cut through it like soft metal. Admiral Junseok said nothing. His pride as a council leader was broken, but his mind was working. For 200 years, the council had believed humans were contained and harmless. Now one human ship had destroyed the strongest fleet in the galaxy without breaking a sweat. What else had they been wrong about? The shuttle docked with the human ship, and the alien leaders stepped into a corridor that seemed designed for giants. The ceilings were high above their heads, and the walls were covered with strange symbols and displays showing information they could not read. A human woman waited for them. She was tall and strong, wearing a dark blue uniform with silver markings. Her brown hair was tied back, and her eyes were sharp and intelligent. "Welcome aboard the Eternal Defiance," she said in perfect galactic standard. "I am Commander Yoonji, Admiral Sojin's second in command. The Admiral is waiting for you in Conference Room 7. They walked through corridors that buzzed with activity. Humans moved past them with purpose, carrying tools and data pads, discussing technical matters in their strange language. The aliens noticed that every human was larger and stronger than most galactic species. Even the smallest humans they saw would be considered big among their own people. "How many crew do you have on this ship?" Captain Roden asked. 37,000, Yoonji replied casually, though only about 20,000 are active at any given time. The others are off duty or working in other sections. The aliens exchanged worried looks. This single ship carried more people than some of their entire fleets. They passed through a section filled with machines and laboratories. Through open doors, they could see humans working on technology that looked decades ahead of anything in council space. One room contained what looked like a miniature star, contained in fields of energy and giving off tremendous heat. "What is that?" Admiral Junseok asked, stopping to stare. "Oh, that is just a fusion reactor," Yoonji said. "One of 12 on this ship. We use them to power the main systems." 12? Commander Velcora's mandibles clicked in shock. "Most of our ships have one fusion reactor for their entire power grid. Human ships require more energy," Yoonji explained. "Our weapons, shields, and engines are quite power-hungry." They reached Conference Room 7, which was large enough to hold 100 people. Admiral Sojin waited at a long table, along with several other humans. She stood when the aliens entered, showing respect even though she had just defeated them in battle. "Please, sit," she said, gesturing to chairs that had been adjusted for different alien body types. "I hope your shuttle trip was comfortable." As they took their seats, Sojin introduced the other humans. "This is Dr. Insu, our chief historian, Commander Woojin, our engineering officer, and Dr. Yuri, our xenobiology specialist." Dr. Yuri waved enthusiastically at the aliens. "Hello, I am so excited to meet you all. Your species have such interesting biological adaptations. Commander Velcora, your compound eyes must give you amazing depth perception. And Captain Roden, your silicon-based biology is fascinating." The aliens stared at her. This human woman had just studied their ships during battle and now wanted to discuss their biology like they were research subjects. "Admiral Sojin," Junseok said, trying to regain some dignity, "your actions today were acts of war against the Galactic Council. You have violated dozens of interstellar laws." Dr. Insu, an older human with gray hair and kind eyes, spoke up. "Actually, Admiral Junseok, we have violated no laws. The right of conquest is still in the Galactic Legal Code, and since the Council never formally invited humanity to join, we are not bound by your internal regulations." The right of conquest has not been used in 500 years. Just because something is old does not mean it is invalid, Insu replied. Your own council uses laws that are thousands of years old when it suits your purposes. Admiral Sojin leaned forward. But we are not here to argue about laws. We are here to discuss the future. The age of human isolation is over. The question is whether that future includes cooperation or conflict. What do you mean? Captain Roden asked. Instead of answering immediately, Sojin nodded to Dr. Insu. The historian activated a holographic display that showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots appeared in dozens of star systems. 200 years ago, Insu began, When the Council decided humans were too dangerous for galactic society, you made a critical error. You assumed that quarantine meant containment. More red dots appeared on the map, spreading out from Earth in all directions. You see, humans are explorers by nature. When you told us we could not leave our system, we became very interested in what was beyond our borders. So we began to explore in secret. The map showed red dots in over 50 systems, some very far from Earth. These are human colonies, Insu continued, established over the past century and 50 years, each one hidden, each one growing, each one building ships and technology. Admiral Jun Seok felt sick. That is impossible. Our monitoring stations would have detected ships leaving Earth. Your monitoring stations detected exactly what we wanted them to detect, Insu said with a smile. Humans are very good at deception, when necessary. Commander Wu Jin spoke up from his position at the table. The Eternal Defiance was not built on Earth, Admiral. It was constructed at a shipyard in the Kepler 442 system, using materials mined from asteroids and processed by automated factories. We have been watching your species for decades, Dr. Yuri added happily, learning your languages, studying your technology, understanding your cultures. It has been so interesting. Did you know that Krillians change color slightly when they lie? And Altarians have a third eyelid that closes when they are thinking hard? The aliens looked at each other, in horror. Humans had been spying on them for decades without being detected. How many ships do you have? Commander Velcora asked quietly. Admiral Sojin looked thoughtful. I am not authorized to give exact numbers, but I can tell you that if we wanted to, we could have taken this system with a single corvette. The Eternal Defiance is here because we wanted to make a statement, not because we needed its firepower. A new human entered the room, a young man with short black hair wearing a communications officer's uniform. He whispered something to Admiral Sojin, who nodded. Gentlemen, she said to the aliens, I have just received word that the Council has sent emergency messages to all member worlds, requesting immediate military assistance. Apparently, you are planning to assemble the largest fleet in galactic history to deal with the human threat. That is classified information, Admiral Jun Seok stammered. Not anymore, Sojin replied. We have been monitoring Council communications since before you were born. We know about your emergency protocols, your fleet positions, and your contingency plans. She stood and walked to the large window that showed the damaged Council fleet floating outside. Admiral Jun Seok, you can call every ship in the galaxy to fight us. You can bring 1,000 vessels, 10,000 vessels. It will not matter. You cannot defeat an enemy you do not understand, and you have never understood humanity. What do you want from us? Jun Seok asked desperately. Sojin turned back to face the aliens. We want what every species wants, the right to exist freely in the galaxy, the right to trade, explore, and build homes among the stars, the right to be treated as equals, not as prisoners or pets. And if we refuse, Commander Yunji answered this time, then you will learn why your ancestors feared us enough to lock us away, but it will be too late to change your minds. Dr. Insu activated another display, showing more red dots appearing across the galaxy. There are 17 other human ships currently observing Council worlds. Each one is larger and more powerful than anything in your fleets. They are waiting for Admiral Sojin's signal. If that signal comes, Wu Jin added quietly, every major Council military base will be destroyed within hours. Not damaged, destroyed, gone completely. The room fell silent. The alien leaders looked at the map showing human ships positioned throughout their territory. Ships they had never detected, carrying weapons they could not understand, operated by a species they had underestimated for 2 centuries. Admiral Sojin sat back down and looked directly at Admiral Jun Seok. But I do not want that to happen. War is wasteful and ugly. I would prefer cooperation, trade, cultural exchange, perhaps even friendship given time. You are asking us to surrender, Jun Seok said. I am asking you to adapt. The galaxy is changing whether you like it or not. Humanity is no longer hidden. We are here, we are strong, and we are not going away. You can work with us or against us, but you cannot ignore us anymore. The Grand Council chamber on Altaris had never been so full. Representatives from hundreds of worlds packed the massive circular hall, their voices creating a buzz of worry and fear. For the first time in 2 centuries, the galaxy faced a crisis that threatened the very foundation of council power. Admiral Junseok stood at the center podium, his golden robes no longer making him feel important. Around him sat the leaders of 6 major species, all waiting to hear his report from the Theta 7 system. The human fleet has 17 vessels, he began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. Each ship is larger and more advanced than anything we have ever built. They have been watching us for decades without being detected. They have colonies in over 50 systems that we never knew existed. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Representatives shouted questions and demands, but Junseok held up his hand for silence. More importantly, he continued, they are not interested in destroying us. They want recognition as equals in galactic society. They want the quarantine to end. High Counselor Termoon, an ancient Altarian whose family had helped found the council, spoke from his elevated seat. These humans destroyed our greatest fleet in minutes. How can we trust them? Because, Junseok replied quietly, they could have killed everyone in that fleet, but they chose not to. They disabled our ships without harming a single crew member. That shows restraint and mercy. It shows they want us alive to serve them, shouted a Vorthak representative. Or, said a new voice from the chamber entrance, it shows that humans prefer cooperation to conquest. Everyone turned to see a human walking into the hall. He was tall and confident, wearing a simple gray uniform with no weapons or guards. His hair was black with some gray and his eyes were calm but alert. He moved like someone who belonged there, despite being the first human to ever enter the council chamber. Who are you? High Counselor Termoon demanded. I am Sangmin, diplomatic attaché to Admiral Sojin, the human replied. I am here to begin formal negotiations for humanity's place in galactic society. The chamber filled with angry voices again, but Sangmin waited patiently for quiet. When the noise died down, he spoke again. I know this is difficult for you. For 200 years, you have controlled the galaxy through fear and isolation. Any species that became too powerful was either destroyed or quarantined. It was a successful strategy for maintaining peace. He walked to the center of the chamber, standing next to Admiral Junseok. But that age is ending. Humanity has grown beyond your ability to contain us. We could force you to accept our demands, but we would prefer to negotiate. The choice is yours. High Counselor Termoon leaned forward in his seat. What do you want? Full membership in the Galactic Council, Sangmin replied. Recognition of our territorial claims in the 57 systems we have colonized. Lifting of all restrictions on human travel and trade, and formal acknowledgement that the quarantine was unjust and harmful. Impossible, shouted several representatives at once. Why? Sangmin asked calmly. Because you are afraid of losing power? Because you do not want to admit you were wrong? A Krillian representative stood up. Your species is violent and unstable. You fight constant wars among yourselves. We did, Sangmin agreed. 200 years ago, humans were indeed violent and divided, but isolation taught us to work together. When faced with a galaxy that rejected us, we learned to put aside our differences. Adversity made us stronger. Admiral Junseok found himself speaking up. I have seen their ships and met their crews. They are disciplined, intelligent, and remarkably peaceful for a species we thought was dangerous. They destroyed your fleet, the Vorthak representative accused. They disabled my fleet, Junseok corrected. Every ship, every crew member survived. They could have killed us all. But they chose mercy. That is not the action of a violent species. High Counselor Termoon looked around the chamber at the worried faces of hundreds of representatives. The old order was crumbling, and everyone knew it. What happens if we refuse your demands, he asked. Sangmin looked sad. Then humanity will take what we need by force. We have the power to destroy every council military base in the galaxy within hours. We have ships positioned near every major world. But we do not want war. You are threatening us. I am stating facts, Sang Min replied, just as Admiral So Jin stated facts to Admiral Jun Seok. We prefer cooperation, but we will not be denied our rightful place in the galaxy anymore. A new figure entered the chamber, an older human woman with silver hair and a kind face. She wore the same gray uniform as Sang Min, but moved with the confidence of someone used to command. High Counselor Termoon, she said. I am Commander Do Yan, Intelligence Chief for the Human Defense Force. I have information that might help your decision. She activated a small device that projected images above the chamber. The pictures showed human colonies, cities built into asteroids, space stations around distant stars, farms on alien worlds. These are our homes, Do Yan said. Millions of humans live in these colonies. They have been there for generations, building peaceful lives among the stars. They are not soldiers or conquerors. They are farmers, teachers, engineers, and artists. More images appeared showing human children playing in low gravity, human families gathered for meals, human scientists studying alien plants. We are not asking you to fear us, Do Yan continued. We are asking you to accept us. We want to trade with your worlds, learn from your cultures, and share our knowledge with you. A small voice spoke from the back of the chamber. It was Kyobin, Admiral Jun Seok's young aide, who had been given permission to observe the proceedings. Honored representatives, he said nervously. I have been studying the human ship's technology. Their medical systems could cure diseases that have plagued our species for centuries. Their agricultural methods could end hunger on a dozen worlds. Their engineering could help us build better ships, safer cities, cleaner energy. The chamber was quiet as representatives considered this. High Counselor Termoon spoke slowly. What guarantees do we have that humanity will honor agreements? How do we know you will not simply take what you want once you have official recognition? Sang Min smiled. The same guarantee you give us, Counselor. The knowledge that breaking faith would be more costly than keeping it. We want to be part of galactic civilization, not its destroyers. Besides, Do Yan added, we have been secretly observing your species for decades. If we wanted to conquer you, we would have done it already. We had the power to take anything we wanted, but we chose to wait for the right moment to ask instead. Admiral Jun Seok found himself standing up. Honored representatives, I fought against the humans in Theta 7. I saw their power firsthand, but I also saw their restraint. They could have humiliated us completely, but they showed mercy. Perhaps it is time to admit that our fears were based on ignorance, not facts. The debate continued for hours, but the outcome was inevitable. One by one, representatives stood to support human membership in the council. Some spoke from fear, others from hope, but all recognized that the old ways could not continue. When the final vote was counted, humanity had been granted full membership in the Galactic Council by a margin of 7-1. The quarantine was officially ended. Human territorial claims were recognized. Admiral So Jin was invited to take humanity's seat on the High Council. 3 months later, the first human trade, ships arrived at alien worlds. Human technology began spreading through council space. Medical advances that saved millions of lives. Agricultural techniques that ended famines. Engineering innovations that made space travel safer and cheaper. Admiral So Jin stood on the bridge of the Eternal Defiance as it approached Earth for the first time in months. The planet looked small and blue below them, but she knew it was no longer humanity's prison. It was their home base in a galaxy that finally accepted them as equals. Admiral, Minho reported from his station. We are receiving a communication from Earth Control. They are asking for our status report. Tell them the mission was successful, So Jin replied. The galaxy knows about humanity now. They are no longer afraid of us. Well, not as afraid as they were. And our other ships? Asked Commander Yunji. They can come out of hiding. Let the galaxy see what we have built during our isolation. But carefully. We do not want to frighten our new neighbors too much. Dr. Yuri looked up from her science station with excitement. Admiral, I have received 17 invitations to visit alien worlds and study their biology, and they want to learn about human science too. This is so wonderful. Sojin smiled. The galaxy had finally learned what happens when you give humans time, motivation, and a challenge to overcome. They had emerged from their isolation not as conquerors, but as equals ready to take their place among the stars. The age of human quarantine was over. The age of human expansion into the galaxy had begun,